All right, everyone. Theresa Steck from live in Phoenix, Arizona. Welcome.
Hi.
Thanks for doing this.
Thank you.
Always appreciated. So yeah, Theresa, just wanted to dive straight into it. Obviously, you've been with Agent Launch for a little while now, so I'd love to hear just a little bit about background story for everyone watching. Where would you say you were at before joining Agent Launch? And then we'll get into some of the specifics about what we've been able to accomplish in our short amount of time.
Okay. Yeah, almost all of my business is through my sphere. So I'm definitely one that has my sphere of influence where I have 75 to 80% of my clients come from those people I know. So I haven't had really any lead generation system in place. I've never used one. So when joining Agent Launch, I had no clue where to start, specifically Google, and knowing that Google was going to be where we should be. It was exciting to me to find you to be able to start trying to see what type of leads we can generate and where things could go from there. So far it's been fantastic. So right now I have over 1,000 leads in my database, which are from my Google ads, which is fantastic. And my ISA is actually helping me connect with at least 2 to 3 a week right now that we're having conversations with. So it's very exciting to go from not having anything to a very short period of time of having that many. And then I get consistently right now to keep, because so that's not just it. I get about 3 leads a day, I would say, that are coming in from my ads directly.
That's awesome. And obviously, yeah, it's just about increasing the amount of opportunities in front of you. And it sounds like that's happening. And arguably you did join at one of the hardest times.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like the market was hot, but it's 2023 now, and things are starting to turn around and you're starting to see that in the leads, right?
Correct. Yeah. And it's exciting because, yeah, like you said, I joined during the end of last year, mid to late last year when the market turned. So it was pretty quiet from a buyer perspective, but now they're all starting to have conversations. More of them are doing searches. They're actually responding to us and inquiring. And actually I have 4 now actually coming to Phoenix, and we're going to be touring homes when they come out here. So it's exciting.
Exploratory tours. I love it.
Exactly.
Very cool. So that's awesome. You got a bunch of leads that you've been building up over the last little while. You're getting 3 a day. You have an ISA in place who's teeing up a few opportunities every week for you.
Yep.
You can feel the traction by the sounds of it. Okay. What about YouTube? Because I know that's an area we've worked a lot together on. So why don't you talk a little bit about that and the brand change?
Yes, and a brand change. So yes, working with you, Live in Phoenix AZ is very exciting for me. I couldn't believe I was actually able to get that URL. So it's starting to take off. I just got my first 100 subscribers. I just hit that this week. I actually had someone last week reach out, moving here to work, be transferred to Luke Air Force Base. They're moving here, and they saw my living in Litchfield Park video and loved it.
Ooh, that's so niche. You got a niche one.
Yes. And now people are talking, like literally, I've been talking to 3 different people on YouTube today, which, I mean, I've been watching and you've said, and the way you've coached us, it's just going to take time. And then all of a sudden it does feel like it's starting to go. Like I don't still have tons and tons of video views. I mean, some of my older ones, my Living in Munns Park one of those first ones I did is got tons of views. And the same thing with a lot of the living ins, and I need to do more of those. It's just trying to find the different times and places that I can get out there, spend the time to do it. It's my only hurdle right now is myself.
That's totally fair. And you honestly were one of the tougher case studies for me because you're so good at it. It's just taken you a bit longer to get that first result, which can happen. And that's why we always set the expectation with YouTube. It can happen fast, it can happen slow, but it'll happen if you stick with it. Yep. I do see what your 5 things I wish I knew video hit 1,000 views, which is awesome.
Yep.
But you're saying this buyer came from
living in Litchfield Park. The living in Litchfield Park.
Which is super niche, right?
Yeah.
Because I know you've done a lot of those, so that's really cool. I think what's going to happen is over time you're going to get a few videos that kind of, I know I've said this to you before, that kind of take off and they start feeding your other ones and they'll start to pick up. And but it's nice you got your first real prospect now.
Prospect out of it, yeah. Yeah, he asked
Cool.
me all these questions based on what he saw that I was talking about, which was great. So we'll see.
That's
And
amazing.
then, yeah, another one in there, she was talking about how they live. I don't remember where she lives, but she was talking, when we come to town, we'll definitely be reaching out. So I think that's great. That's exciting. And I
Yeah,
think that's been my favorite part about all of this, is going through when I first started and I was in those classes, when you'd have us just critiquing us and going through the videos. That's fun to me. I love doing that. I just got to
well,
get
you
back
got
on.
really good really fast.
Oh, thank
And I
you.
can see it. And I know you had a little bit of experience before, which helped speed things up, but
Mhm.
you really dialed in the whole structure like really quick.
Yeah,
And now I'm looking at you and I love your thumbnails. So I think it's just giving it some time and being consistent, I think is the way forward. But that's really exciting because it starts with one, right? It
right.
always
Yep.
starts with one. But with YouTube, especially like Google, obviously things can pick up a little quicker, especially when the market's good. YouTube usually takes a bit longer, but I think it'll start to compound for you through this
Well, that'll
year.
be, yeah, that's great then, because I know it does take a little bit longer, but maybe it's the perfect timing of coming into the spring and buyers are coming back and it's exciting.
Yeah, I would almost start remaking some of those like bigger topics, pros and
Yeah,
cons, stuff like that.
right.
You might get one that kind of hits. So
I
anyways,
know, I've got to do a whole strategy. That's my plan next, is to do like at least a month at a time and get out there and try to start
yeah.
recording in advance. So,
Well, I think you could teach this stuff at this point pretty well. But so I'm excited what 2023 is going to look like for you. So obviously you got leads coming through Google, you got regular appointments now, you got your ISA in place, you got a good YouTube channel. We worked on changing your brand to something a little more like holistic that
yep,
wasn't just your name. And it's
right.
good to hear you feel good about that, because I think it's important to feel good about your brand. I remember you didn't
Yeah,
feel good about it.
right. I
And
did it. Yeah,
this is one of the, for anyone considering joining us, this is one of the first conversations I'll probably have with you, is like, let's talk about your brand. Because a
right.
lot of people get stuck in this place where they're like, their brand's like Eric Preston, and then it's like houses for sale in Vancouver, and then they have some other brand. They actually have 3 brands
Right.
between
That
their
was
website
me.
and their social. Yeah.
I mean, it was live in Phoenix and that didn't mean anything. And, or I mean, in Theresa Homes AZ. So it was my name. And if I want to
Yeah.
grow, definitely live in Phoenix AZ definitely sticks, and it is really good from a search term perspective, which I love. So
Yeah. And
yeah,
I have the luxury of working with so many agents where I've seen this happen so many times, where it's like, I've never, ever seen an agent that's had a wild amount of success and love their personal name so much being the headline. Because then
right,
they're trying to build leverage around themselves, which is obviously what we help you do. And they can't. It's hard because it's your personal name. Everyone wants to work with Theresa when your brand's Theresa Zek or Theresa
right,
Homes AZ.
right.
Um,
Yeah.
so I'm excited for you with that direction. I think it's a good. So Theresa's liveinphoenixaz.com, live in Phoenix AZ. Your YouTube channel is Live in Phoenix AZ. Her
Yep.
emails Live in Phoenix AZ.
It's
So
easy.
everything's
Okay.
cohesive, which really
Yes.
makes a lot of
Yes.
sense. So
Yeah. Yeah.
what?
And I actually do have one that we are under contract. So one of my clients that came through the group is one of my leads. We're under contract and we should be closing here in the next couple of weeks, which is great too. So that's my first one.
Exciting.
Very exciting.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm really excited to see what the first 6 months of this year look, because I know you started a really down time and now you can obviously feel it really picking up.
Yep.
So I'm excited that you're getting those kind of closings and clients come through. So what would you say to someone like, because our industry is very saturated. There's a lot of terrible companies like ours out there. And a lot of people, probably one of the biggest objections we get is, I've just been burned too many times. That's probably the number one thing we get.
Sure.
What would you say to someone who's like considering joining us, but might be on the fence?
I would say it's so worth it because of the detail and the depth that you guys go into this whole process. Like you said, one of your first conversations with us is all about your brand, and it's holistic. Like, you take us through thinking of it from the beginning to how you set us up on our presence on Google, and you teach us how to do that. That's what I love, isn't it? And that we're even talking to you, we're even talking to your team directly. It's not like people join and they never see you, or people join and they get like lost and left out there to just figure it out themselves. That's what I love. There's someone, either you or someone on your team, that's there to help you and answer any questions you have at any time. Everybody's responses are very quick. I mean, Haley's fantastic. She's more than happy to help me anytime I'm talking about the CRM and can you help me why this isn't working or this is broken? You know, same thing with Jasmine and Axel, like they're very much on your Google ads, just helping us. What's wrong? This seems odd today. I'm getting a lot of these leads. Does that make sense? And they jump in there and make sure it looks good. But yet you teach us how to do it so we can understand it ourselves. That's what I love. It's great.
We also teach you that who you hire is some of the most important decisions you'll ever make,
Yes.
especially early on. So
That is
we're
very true. I love that. Yes.
fortunate to have good people. And yes, I will be there week in, week out. I'm doing the YouTube call on Tuesdays and the sales call on Wednesdays, and I'll be pushing everyone in the right direction. I hope.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, hey, I really appreciate you doing this, Theresa. It always helps to kind of, hear it from the horse's mouth, if you will, when our clients could actually speak for their experience rather than us just having to tell them. So any final thoughts?
Yeah, I think, if you're thinking of buying leads, you hear all those stories of, I can pay for thousands and thousands of leads, but they're not leads. They're cold. They don't, these leads, yes, these leads have clicked on purpose. They have an intention, right? When they're coming into these ads, they've seen them. And if you have an ISA, you hire your ISA, it's so worth it. It makes things move. It may cost money, but it makes things move and it makes things start happening. And they're actually hot leads. I feel excited. I have some new people on my team that I'm like, when I give you these people, they've been talking to us. They are not just a name and an email that you're calling or, emailing. It's definitely someone that's going to want to talk to you and actually wants to go see houses. So that's what I love.
I love that you said that, but I will still preface it by saying Theresa's done a lot of the videos, which I think helps. Even if you don't know it helps right away, I think it helps a lot.
Yes, that's true.
And has a very presentable presence, and also does the work on the sales side. Because I never like to set the expectation with people that the leads are just going to come in wanting to work with you. You have to build trust with them, as you know.
Yep.
But yeah, they did come from a place where they were actively searching. So it means they're a little more intentional than some other lead sources, but there's still a trust building process. And that's why we put so much energy into teaching that process.
Right. And that's what I think is great. Those first 5 videos you had us do, my ISAs like these are fantastic. And anytime now I do a new one, she's sending it out to them. And yeah, it's definitely building that relationship that you need to, for sure. But yeah. Proactive
outreach. And I cover this in my masterclass. If anyone's watching, go to agentlaunch.com/masterclass. I cover all the ways that we talk about deploying content, because it's one thing to make it, but it's another thing to leverage it on the phone over text and proactive outreach. So I'm glad to hear your ISA is actively doing that. So
yep, absolutely.
Well, hey, Theresa, I respect your time and I really appreciate you coming on and doing this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good rest of your day.
You too.
Bye.